Okay, I'd like to do a little video kind of talking about my EDC, everyday carry. If you've seen a couple of my other videos, you might see that I'm really into steel guns. I love steel frame guns. My main 9mm gun is actually a SIG P226 Legion, which if you're interested in seeing a review on that, I would love to be able to talk about it and brag about it. It's just a dynamite gun and I love it. I've had a Beretta 92 in the past. Smith & Wesson 4566. But when it came to my EDC, I had tried a lot of different firearms before ultimately coming to my favorite one that I have right here. The one that I chose ultimately was going to be something with a steel frame. A lot of times when you go looking for a firearm with a steel frame that's compact in size, you end up with a wide margin of things to look at. Okay, so a steel frame gun in a small 9mm, okay, well, that automatically weeds out the Walther PPK because those are all in 32 or 380. The Bursa is in 380, and that's a pretty okay gun, but I think I wanted something a little more substantial. Maybe if you were to move up into the SIG 938, all right, that's a good gun. That's very similar to the Colt Mustang. There's a Colt Mustang Pocket Light in 380. Well, we don't want to do that one. We'd rather have something in 9. Then you have a lot of the Ultra Carry 1911 based firearms that are, squished down 1911s. And there's nothing really wrong with those. They're kind of expensive though, and I'd prefer to have something that was, let's kind of say, striker fired, or that had a little bit more safety. One of the things that comes up too is that having a 9mm or 38 revolver is something that I could have used as well. Ultimately, I came to the decision that I really liked the Kahr Mk9, and that's what we have here today. The Kahr Mk9, so we have it right here. This is a 9mm 6+1 striker fired steel framed handgun. I'm going to go ahead and safety check it right now and show you right here. Magazine's out, chamber's empty. But as you can see in my hand, it is quite small. But that trigger feel is just nice. And I normally wouldn't do this, but this room is empty. I don't like being so nonchalant with the trigger. I'm going to tell you why I like this firearm, okay? This sucker's a little meaty, and so it makes it kind of difficult to pocket carry, to be perfectly honest. I replaced an EC9S Ruger with this, so the change in weight is dramatic. I've carried a variety of single stack small pocket pistols before, all the way to the PF9, which I believe is a Kel-Tec, which was a not great gun to shoot. I also had that Ruger ECS9. I've also had a small Glock, and which was great. I have had many Glocks, and I plan on having lots of Glocks in the future. This one, though, ultimately is my favorite that I've had, and I'm glad. I've gotten into a project where I really want to start having guns that I'm going to keep forever. I don't like buying guns just as a toy. One of the things that I don't like is just having a gun that is going to sit and not really have any staying power, or that's going to lose a lot of value. Without any hate to that Ruger or Glock, they're good guns, but one of the things that I was really disappointed in was that my interest would fade in them over time, and it always did, and I would just trade them for something else. When I got tired of toys and I wanted to have guns that I would definitely want to keep, and I didn't like buying guns that were just kind of, I hate to say, toys. So the Mk9 came into my life, and I searched high and low to find one. Now, normally this is one of those things that is kind of expensive because these are not terribly common. You may have to actually go to a gun show or a gun store with, kind of a deeper volume than the most popular pistols. But this is one where you can clearly see that this is one of their top of the line pistols. So I've been in love with it ever since I saw it. It comes with a couple of these magazines. This is a 6-round single stack magazine. It looks a little like a 1911 magazine, and this one is a flush fit. A flush fit has nice positive ejection. When I say positive, I mean it does come out positively, but it's not great. And then you can also get this with a variety of other mags, including one with a finger grip right here. Now, being that this is a small gun, I generally have just gotten used to the fact that my finger grip is not going to be there. And if I wanted to have one, it puts a little extra pressure on the magazine. I'd have to move up into probably a larger pistol to get more of a finger grip. Or on the other side, I just practice with this one some more. So that's what I do. Let's talk about trigger pull. And again, this is a safety check firearm here. One of the nice things about this is that it's a striker fired pistol. So it's going to have a long trigger pull. And this nice steel trigger blade here comes all the way back, squish, 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 and pops. Go ahead and reset. Long reset. So between the flop and that strong take up, it's one of those things where the trigger pull is long. That being said, being a striker fired pistol, it's extremely consistent. So that's something that I quite enjoy in this pistol. The weight is great. This is a pistol that weighs over a pound. And so that might drive many people away. But the fact of the matter is that the weight feels nice and it helps manage the recoil really well. There's no free lunch in life. And if you end up with a larger gun, it's harder to carry. If you end up with a smaller gun, it's harder to shoot. Well, if you end up with a smaller gun, it's harder to shoot unless it weighs more. But if a gun weighs more, it usually ought to have more ammunition. And so there's one of those things where there's no perfect firearm. Maybe something that's semi-metallic with semi-polymer parts or something. The little brother of this, the Kahr Mk9, might be a good example, where if this weight doesn't work for you, it's something to consider. That being said, I don't mind the weight. I'm a little bit of a hefty boy, and so it's kind of one of those things where I haven't really minded it that much. As you can see, I wear suspenders. It's kind of part of my look, and so having suspenders and I wear my pants a little higher than most fellas do, I kind of just wear my carry gun a little higher, or I like to carry this in a bag. I have a job that does not allow me necessarily to carry guns when I go inside, so I do have to worry about making sure that I'm disarming myself, and I don't like doing that too much. So having a gun that's pretty safe is going to be good for that, and that's one of the reasons why I didn't go with the 1911. Just the potential possibility of something going off with the 1911 is going to be a little higher than something with the striker capability. So one of the things that I liked about this, as you can see, this has just got a single takedown pin. And one of the things I had learned over time was that all of these pistols with this cool newfangled technology with these rotating pins or with the little pull down levers like a Glock has really makes it cool and interesting to quickly field strip your pistol. But one of the issues that, in my opinion, that comes up is that you have some fickle parts. And so where you have this right here is that there's really no moving parts. It's a pin. And in case you think, well, that's just old technology and that doesn't really do anything for me. Well, when HK designed the USP in the 1980s, they made it with a pin. So the Beretta 92, the SIG 226 still use a pin. It's a modified design of the same thing, but there's just a pin. 1911 still uses a pin. So it's one of those types of things where there's no perfect system. There's just one that works better for you. And I like to have something that has a little bit less moving parts, so to speak. Okay, so one of the nice things too that you find out with this is it has a polygonal barrel, which means that the rifling on the inside of the barrel is not necessarily traditional cut or butt rifling. However, it's a much smoother to the eye. If you actually take the barrel out, which I'm not allowed to do on YouTube here, but if you take it out, it actually looks kind of shiny on the inside. And what you do is you end up seeing that there's little spines that are rifled through the barrel. Now that does several things. One, it helps with accuracy a little bit, and it helps with pressure consistency. Glock has really mastered using the polygonal rifling in their pistols, and this being also a very short barrel, I think it's somewhere under 3 inches, maybe or right at 3 inches. It's useful to try to grab as much velocity and accuracy as you can. Having shot this, I found that it is great in the hand. It doesn't kick as hard as other pistols of the same size, and so I'm thankful for that. One of my next planned upgrades is to potentially get the wooden grips for this, just to enhance the look. I've always loved the look of a stainless steel pistol with the wood grips. I think it's beautiful, but these are beautiful in themselves. As you can see, the grips meet here in the back. Go ahead and see on the bottom. And the nice thing is that there's just pieces of stainless everywhere. The trigger itself, the pin, we're looking at stainless components. This button here is stainless. This comes with some True Dot night sights on it. Okay. Let's go ahead and open it from the inside so you can have a view inside the magazine well. But all of these parts here on the inside, they're all stainless, which reminds me a lot of a couple other popular manufacturers who do stainless weapons. And that was my Smith & Wesson 4566 that I really enjoyed. And that was made with the same build quality. And so personally, my carry ammo is these 9mm 124 grain HST by Federal standard pressure hollow points. They've showed in many tests on YouTube to be some of the best that you can use, and I highly suggest checking out some of those videos if you have the ability. For my holster here, this is a Texas brand, I think it's 1836 brand leather inside the waistband holster that also has the ability to run through your belt. This is one that is not really designed for one specific gun, but just more like the smaller gun, maybe like a Glock 43 or something like that. And it fits rather well, especially when pinned inside of my pants pocket. And leather is really important for a stainless gun like this because you really don't want to hurt this finish. This is a beautiful finish on a firearm, and you want to be able to keep it like that. And like I said, I am trying to have forever level firearms, and so I was glad I was able to pick this up. MSRP on the streets, well, I want to say MSRP on the streets, but MSRP for one of these is around $1,000. You'd probably find one in a store if you were to find one new for the 700 range, maybe in the used market between $400 and $700. So this is one of those things where be on the lookout for good deals on this. I got this one secondhand, and it took some waiting, it took some patience, but I would sincerely ask everybody to give one of these consideration. If it's too heavy for you, I understand, but if you're one of the people that prefers something that's a little bit more substantial, that's kind of thin, it's about an inch, maybe an inch and an 1/8 inch and a quarter, but if you want to enjoy a thin, flat, single stack 9mm versus a wider semi-auto or a wider revolver, this might be something that's right in your wheelhouse. And I like the weight, and I like being able to shoot it, and it's one of those things that I just like to look at it. I just like looking at it, hold it in my hand. A lot of good rifles and pistols have that ability that you can just sit there and hold it and just kind of enjoy it. And this is one of those ones that does that. So I very much appreciate your time in watching this. I hope that if there was any specific things that you'd like to know about it, you might leave me a comment or suggest something for a different video in the future. I also want to refer you to my cousin's channel who makes gun related videos. His name is Isaac Spoon, and I want you to check out his channel. He's working on a hunting rifle that we have kind of been